Welcome back to another episode of the Pickle Pulse. I'm your host, Brian Green, and today we have a good friend, a new friend, Mr. Logan from Nexus Pickleball USA. What's up, Logan? How are you, man?
Hey, good. How are you?
Oh, living the dream. Got to play 3 hours of pickle today. My body hurts everywhere, and I learned that I'm not a 5'5". I'm still barely a 5'0". As I've got a good friend, and let's go shout out to Gage Tutco. You're the man. I appreciate all the games, but hands battles with you are a losing battle currently. I'm coming for you though.
Dude, I love that.
Yeah, I assume you're down in Florida, right?
Yes, sir.
So you're catching lots of high level games, lots of players. Tell me just a little bit about the scene where you are.
Yeah, so I have I started out with kind of in the old community with some older people, but I still got my butt kicked as, first time pickler.
Mm-hmm.
But then, about a year moved up to St. Pete. And yeah, there's a lot of young guys. You have like Travis Rettenmeyer, he's up here. Rachel Ryanbacher, she's up here. So you got a few pros in the area. So it's pretty cool.
Do you ever go out to Travis's courts where he holds it down?
I do. I've played him a few times. I got a body bag once or twice.
Oh,
So
I love it. Love it. Yeah, I actually got to meet him at MLP and gave him a huge shout out because he was one of the nicest pros that I've talked to. Most of them give you a vibe that they don't really want to talk to you, but he was like totally cool.
yeah, he plays on the they call it challenge courts, right? So
Mm-hmm.
he'll play there sometimes. And I think that's great that he actually like gets on the courts and isn't like too stuck up to
Yeah.
play with. So
Well, he's one of the, I would say he's probably one of the only top pros that will still play with us amateurs, which I think is very cool.
yeah, I agree.
So, Nexus Pickleball, man, when were you guys founded? How did you come up with the idea? And then I want to talk all about your paddles. As you know, I'm a huge paddle geek.
Yeah, man. So it's been about a little bit over now 2 years in the making. I just fell in love with the sport and I've always wanted to have my own business. And I've always wanted to do something in the athletic field. I never really had like my own niche. And I was going to do like a clothing brand at one point, and then I was like, oh, there's just so much competition. And then kind of along that time, I've always wanted my own business. I got introduced to pickleball through my father. Um, and after that, I was just like, wow, this is so fun. I can't believe I've never played it before. I never knew it. And I was just kind of like a natural at it, to be honest with you. I haven't played any other racket sports, just soccer really my entire life. Um, and it just cascaded into, hey, why can't I, put a business into this? How do I, and then, just work around, ask people different questions, and then here it is.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Anything behind the name? Like I had 11-6-24 David on, and he counted some like what jelly beans or something, and came up with his name, which everyone calls the worst name in pickleball.
Um, I don't have anything behind it. I guess what I was just kind of going for is something futuristic, timeless, kind of like technology, like alien, like a Nexus event. I'm kind of a gamer.
Okay.
So gaming wasn't I literally have a list on my phone in my notes of probably 300 names, and you can just scroll and scroll, and it just was a name that really stuck out to
Okay.
me.
Yeah, I saw on your website and your marketing the whole alien vibe, and I know a lot of people that watch don't know this, but I am way into aliens. So
That's awesome.
I am definitely a true believer. I've watched all the shows on it, and you know it is just very cool that you're coming into pickleball and marketing with that kind of fun little adage there with all your paddles and stuff.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate that. You know, I really kind of look at, bread and butter, and they have like such a great like marketing thing. I've heard nothing but great things about him and what he does. He's kind of on like the funnier side of things. And I'm like, it seems like nowadays there's so many paddles in the market. What do you do to differentiate yourself? So, Nexus can still kind of be like aliens and stuff. Plus, I have a green logo, and it's just kind of was like almost the perfect setting for me to just kind of mash that all together. So
Nice. Nice. I always like to ask, so your dad introduced you to pickleball,
yeah.
and now you've got a pickleball company. Who's winning the matches when you guys are on the court together?
Well, me.
Good
I'm
answer.
I'm the best in the family, I would definitely say, but that's, I'm younger obviously than my dad, but he still plays really well, solid, 4-0.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, and my brother, he helps too with some stuff. So yeah, he started about 2 years after I started, so he's getting there. He won his first tournament with the Shroud, so super
Love it.
excited for him.
Love it.
Yeah,
Well, that's a good segue. I know your first paddle that you introduced to the market was called the Shroud.
yep.
Very cool, unique looking paddle. Tell me just a little bit about it and kind of what you were going for as you designed it and put it together.
Yeah, so during this time, the Power Air was very popular, like very, very popular, and it still is pretty popular. You go to courts today, there's still people like using this paddle, even though
Which is
it's
crazy. With the
right,
spray on grit that goes away in a week and a half at a $250 paddle, it's crazy talk.
right. Um, So just the kind of that feature was so, back then it was so huge when it came out. So kind of that's when I started developing this paddle. And then after time, 2 years literally of developing and like, oh, I can do this, I can do that, I can add these certain things. So pretty much what I'm doing is adding um a more condensed core. There's like different millimeter cores. So mine's more condensed, and then I'm also putting you know, the real grit on it
Yep.
instead of like their paddle. So it's kind of like their 2.0 version um, of their Power Air.
Okay, gotcha. And to me, it looks like an edgeless paddle, but I saw in the construction that there is an edge on there, right?
It is as edgeless.
Okay.
They're handmade, so they have to seal them. Um, I'm not exactly sure what is used to seal these edges, but it's like it kind of looks like an illusion that it is has an edge guard on it, but it does not.
Okay. And that's sort of what I figured is that I guess in the thermoforming process, they have to have an edge in there to kind of push it all together.
Right.
But it is essentially a edgeless paddle.
Correct. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. And then were you going for more power, more all court? The interesting thing is I haven't got a chance to play with the paddle yet. I look forward to it. And I know you've got a new paddle coming out that I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
Um,
Me too.
but what were you guys kind of going for when you designed the paddle? Or who were you trying to market towards? Higher level players, everybody?
Right. Yeah. So definitely. So it's here's the thing. There's a big difference when you have an owner of a company who is at a higher level in pickleball versus someone who is not at that high. I'm not knocking any other people, but you definitely see a side of things. So it's really good to have a large audience of who's testing your paddle, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so with my paddle, the Shroud here, um, I took a tuning to liking it a lot because I play around that 4.5, 5.0, like kind of around that level. So I'm able to, almost virtually play with almost any paddle, right? But then you put it into the hands of maybe someone who is just starting out. They're going to notice that, instant thermoforming qualities, right? The more direct shots, it's going to be poppier, right?
Mm-hmm.
So um, I would say that getting back on track, sorry. This goes towards more advanced players, and more advanced players can use this paddle and have a really great technique with it. I've noticed the people who are in like the 3.5 range, they kind of struggle a little bit with it. Um, so yeah, anyone who's like higher level, you can really like manipulate the ball with the grid I have on it, and just like it. I would say it's more pop and a little bit less power.
Okay. So it sounds like a paddle that's right up my alley because
Yeah.
the true power paddles, my swing is, I'd like to say I put a lot of topspin on it, and I do from time to time, but it's a little more flat. And so with all those true power paddles, I have a hard time returning serves and keeping the ball in when I'm really going for it at the kitchen line. And
Yeah.
so to eliminate the mega power but have the pop at the kitchen line, I think is such an advantage for. I mean, I play at basically the same level as you. I think I'm a 482 duper. Um,
Okay, great.
with a tournament win that's not in there yet, so I'm hoping it goes up a little bit.
Nice. Yeah. So this would
But
work for you really well. Like it still has that soft feel, but it's not like overwhelmingly powerful, right? You're not going to hit this like the new gearbox or the Joola paddles. It's nowhere near that, but you're still going to get that nice power off of it. And the hand speed, dude, I'm telling you, you're going to be able to be at that line, and when someone hits you a dink on your forehand, even if it's a little low, you're going to be able to just like whip this paddle up and like catch them off guard. It's crazy.
yeah, well, and that's one thing I love about an edgeless paddle is it's always seems to be a lighter swing weight, a little faster in the hands.
Mhm.
The downfall to most edgeless paddles is that feedback, the smaller sweet spot on them,
Yes.
and you can tell immediately. Like I played with the Power Air for probably 6 months until I just got fed up with it and realized it wasn't a great paddle.
Yeah.
Um, but during that time period, I actually liked that it told me when I didn't hit the ball well.
Yeah.
And so it gave me that feedback that, okay, that was on me. The problem is that, I'm only hitting 50% of my shots in the sweet spot.
Mhm.
And so I think something that plays a little more all court
Mhm.
is definitely a big benefit to most consumers out there. And I'm interested to try your paddle in that. I think a couple of companies have finally gotten it right
Mhm.
on the edgeless paddle.
Yeah.
So I am really excited to talk about the Prostar that you have coming out. And so I kind of want to move forward. Yeah, you got one on there on hand. Oh, there she is.
Kind of hard to show up, but yeah.
Yes, but I love the idea of titanium, of something a little new out there. I have noticed that the titanium paddles, the swing weight's a little heavier on them, but I think the plow through, and there's some benefits to a heavier swing weight if you can handle it. So tell me a little bit about the ProStar and why you decided to put titanium in this thing.
Yeah, so pretty much I'm always pushing to do something that's never been done before. That's kind of like my big thing is like I don't want to just come out like yeah, it's like a shape that we've all seen before, but the titanium and the foam injected core. I know there's a few other, maybe one or two other companies that are, in doing the foam injected core, but I think I have a really, really good place to where there's so many power paddles on the market coming out that this really my foam is more of like a control foam. It's not so much of a power foam, I guess, if
Okay.
that's how you would explain it. So
Mm-hmm.
you're going to definitely get a lot better like resets, bigger sweet spot. It's going to be more easy for the general population to play. It's not like the advanced, it's not like the Shroud, which I recommend like high level, right? This is going to be more like everyone can pick it up and like play great with it.
Okay. Okay. I
So,
like that. And then what is the benefit of the titanium in the face? What was the thought there?
so the titanium is actually one, it looks really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen like them in person before?
I hear they sort of glow in the sun, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, so first off, it kind of just the aesthetics of it, it just like sparkles and stuff, which is so cool. Um, the second thing is it's almost like a reinforcement of the carbon fiber. So it helps expand the sweet spot as
Mm-hmm.
well on the paddle. Because like when you do hit those, outside of the sweet spot, like kind of the dead spots, that titanium is almost like a reinforcement of those certain areas around the paddle.
Oh,
Um,
nice. Now, is it a softer feel when you're hitting it like a Kevlar face, or is it a little more stiff feel?
I would say it really depends how I'm hitting it, I guess. I mean, it, it's it's not stiff, but it's not like a rock.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like middle of the road, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Um, and that could because of the core that I'm using. Um, but yeah, like I'm pressing on the face right now, and there's a little tiny bit of give on
Okay.
it. It's
Okay.
so it's not like rock solid. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then do you have any fears with the foam injection in there about the USAPA or the UPA or any of the governing bodies being upset about foam being in there?
Yeah, so I mean, am I a little afraid of like, the controversy that's going around now? Yes. But am I confident that the paddle is going to not delaminate, or the paddle's not going, like the foam's not going to break down and it's going to turn into like a rocket ship? I'm really confident it's not. We've been working to perfect this, and that's kind of the reason why I haven't like just launched it like right away, because I wanted to make sure before it got out into everyone's hands that you weren't going to buy this paddle and then in about 6 months that you break it in and now it's shooting like a rocket ship,
Mm-hmm.
which is cool, but it's not really like what I'm trying to go for. So
Okay. Okay. And talk to me a little bit about the process of getting paddles approved through those organizations. And then also I'm going to hit you with a little bit of a curveball, but
yeah.
your thoughts on the crazy numbers that are being thrown out right now by the governing bodies as to what they're going to charge to get a paddle approved to play on the PPA and MLP.
Yeah, so the process is you have to send, I think it's 6 paddles in. Um, I think at one point it was 7, but it's 6 paddles in. You have to pay a fee to even be on the USAPA. Then you have to pay a large, even larger, about 3 times the amount fee to send the paddles in for approval. Luckily, I have not, with the Shroud or with the Prostar. I haven't. The Prostar is literally about to be done with the approval.
Mm-hmm.
They actually sent me a message, because apparently I was too vague with what the foam in the polypropylene core was, like what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I have to actually email them back and let them know, like, hey, this is not like Joola, because I cannot afford. I'm still such a small company, and I can't afford to have to resubmit it and pay them another stupid amount of money to just
Mm-hmm.
resubmit it. Um, so I got to get back to them. Um, so it's kind of a long process. They have so many paddles, it takes them forever. Now the other thing with the new governing body, I think that's absolutely absurd. I don't like the idea of doing that, but I don't think it's going to end like small paddle companies like me, um, because I don't think like you have a tournament in your local area. I don't think that that tournament is going to go off of that list. I think the USAPA is still going to be that like main body
Yeah. Yeah.
battles.
That makes sense. It's just basically if you have pros playing with your paddles, then you have to start thinking about that. And
Right,
then you better have some damn good pros if they're going to charge you 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 to get a paddle approved. They better be worth their pay.
right. I'm definitely not making that type of money, I promise you. Not yet, at
No.
least.
No, I don't think many of the companies are out there. And I personally thought it was preposterous that they were going to do that to the small guys. And it just seemed like another big pickle move that they want to further monopolize the game and keep their buddies at the top.
Yeah, and like the other thing I don't get is like you're having this governing body, and they're all like competitors, right? You have like what, Franklin on there, Yola, Selkirk, like all these people. Aren't they competitors? Like what's stopping someone from like, oh, I'm vetoing your paddle because it's way too new and I know it's going to get a lot of attention. Like I don't understand the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think further information will come out on all the governing bodies. And also I don't think we're at the end of this, and that the next 18 to 24 months is still going to be the wild west in pickleball as they're trying to figure out what this game is going to look like moving into the future.
And then hey, one last thing, I don't know how much time we got here, but there's one last like really juicy information I want to let the viewers know
Yeah.
is
Love
that
juicy info.
so I mean, as you know, I talked to like some suppliers and I have like the inside scoop on some things. So that whole like uh Yola lawsuit and all this,
Mm-hmm.
well, they Yola actually was told that these paddles were not going to pass. And yet they still went through with it anyways. And they ended up like bribing someone within these like companies to actually just produce it and make the paddle and release it anyways.
Wow, that is a hot take. Holy cow. So there's going to be a lot coming out from that if there's truth behind that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like I
that
said,
is a nugget.
it's a good source that I get it
Hmm.
from. I don't know why they would have any intention to lie to me about that.
Hmm.
But that's very like that's sneaky. In some companies, I mean, some companies do that, right? They'll send in a different type of paddle that's, getting approved, right? So
Yeah, because based on the papers and what I've been hearing, it seemed like Joola had the USAPA uh, kind of really caught and in a tough spot based on the information that's come out. But if there's bribery involved, then USAPA is going to have their own deal to deal with outside of even that lawsuit.
yep.
Wow, that's a hot take. I appreciate that.
Um,
So you had mentioned the Shogun by Bread
yes.
and Butter, and it is the paddle that got to market first with the titanium face. I know you were developing yours way back, and I actually appreciate that you decided to hold on and make sure that it's the right paddle before you release. But what do you think that paddle? How will that paddle compare to the Prostar as it comes out? Have you held it? Have you hit it? Have you felt it?
Yeah. So I've funny enough, um, we I don't know how to say this. I have hit it, I've hit theirs, and I've also had what you call samples of that paddle. Um, Plays great. Um, so it's a great paddle. The ones I've played with, the bread and butter, the Shogun, and my samples, all very soft.
Yeah.
That's what's my experience with it. They were all very soft, definitely heavy control battle. And I was like, so they're a bigger company than me. They had a larger order than me. So even though maybe like I was kind of on the first one to like actually get into this titanium, they were able to get in front of me because of like money situations. Like they're going to fulfill a larger order than the little guy
Yep.
uh,
Makes
first.
sense. It's not
So
it's not cool, but it makes sense. It's business.
right, right. So that's kind of been one little asset of the delays, but again, I don't want to come out with a paddle, even though like I was like kind of first with it. I don't want to come out with the same exact paddle as they did. Like that's not who I am. I'm not going to like copy them and what they did. Plus, I felt like it needed more pop and power. So that's what you're going to get out of mine. You're going to get more like stability. You're going to get a little more pop, and it's just going to feel a little bit you're gonna get a little more power. So, when you are in those, firefights, you're driving the ball, you're gonna get, some more of that plow through and a little bit faster speeds with the ball. So
Okay. I like that. Well, man, I am super excited to try out the paddles. I really appreciate working with smaller companies, guys that want to innovate. And I really thank you for your time today, man.
yeah, dude, thank you so much for having me on. I'll come on
Yes, sir.
anytime. I love this.
Absolutely. And so when are you going to drop the new Pro Star and how can everybody find you?
Yeah, so the Pro Star is going to be coming out here probably in the next, I want to say 3 weeks or less.
Okay.
Um, so should be coming out next 3 weeks here, and it is nexuspickleballusa.com.
Perfect. And I'll put it on the screen so everybody can see it. Um, awesome, man. Well, I hope you have a great rest of the evening. And until I see you again,
Yeah,
peace.
man. Thank you so much. See you, everyone.